Hi and welcome back to Dirty Bernie's Garage. Today we're going to be playing around with this little DR trimmer. It's a unit that actually was given to me. It's probably going to end up turning into an engine swap. But for right now, the main concern is we want to hear this engine run. This is a Briggs and Stratton Intek for the small base Briggs and Stratton engines as far as push mowers, trimmers, blah blah blah. This is my favorite engine. This is the one to beat. This engine is gonna actually, I'm gonna keep this engine, but for right now we gotta get it running. And the problem being with it, and I'm gonna show you real quick, it actually has too much compression right now. You can barely actually, a real hard time pulling it over. And in this video I'm going to show you what is actually wrong with this engine, and hopefully it's an easy fix. Maybe if not, we'll have to tear into it a little bit, but that's, you know. But anyway, I'll give you a quick walk around and show you what's up. All right, like I said, we have a 8.25 horsepower engine. This engine's very similar to a Briggs and Stratton Quantum. Actually, it's made from a Quantum, but you're gonna notice you got your valve cover here. It's actually an overhead valve engine, and I will be getting into that shortly. I'm gonna show you the difference between the two. Anyway, as I showed you, it's got too much compression. A lot of people would mistake this for the engine being seized up, or having a mechanical, something internal wrong with it. But I'll show you real quick. The easiest way to determine a compression release issue. I'm going to take the spark plug out of it. Okay, give me a second here. Now, you notice with the spark plug removed rather, pulls right over, nice and smooth. I'm going to show you in this video what compression release actually does. So stay tuned, and first off I'm going to show you a little thing about Briggs and Stratton Inteks. Like I said, this is my personal, this is the best engine Briggs and Stratton has ever made for the small base engines, in my humble opinion, of course. But anyway, give me a second here and we'll get onto the stand. All right, so we're going to give you a little overview of two engines. First off, we got the Briggs and Stratton Quantum. Actually, this is one of the ones that's basically the same things I just did on that pressure washer. It's a flathead engine. The valves are in the block. Spark plug goes in the top and everything. You're gonna notice your muffler is gonna go here and everything. Same basic thing as the one on the pressure washer. Same engine actually. Like I said, it's a flathead design. Really nothing, I mean, it's a great engine, don't get me wrong. But then you're gonna go over here to your Intek. The lower end on this Intek is basically the same thing as your Quantum. I know for a fact the crankshafts will interchange. I've done that swap before. What I like to think is that they had the Quantum going and a couple engineers just got bored, needed something to do, so they turned around and took this Quantum and put them on steroids. You're gonna notice your exhaust comes out the top, goes over to a fairly large muffler. On the Quantum, you're gonna see your intake coming over here. It's a plastic intake, slides all the way over, carburetor bolts to it right there. On your Intek, kind of hard to see, but the carburetor actually bolts right up to the head. You got, this is kind of hard to see because I don't have this engine apart. Anyway, there's a set of push rods that go up through the block. The valves are actually inside the head on this particular engine. This is your valve cover right here. I think all the magic is in this actual cylinder head. I believe it possibly has bigger valves. I can guarantee you it's definitely breathing better as far as the carburetor and the exhaust and everything. If you've ever run both engines, I think you would understand. You're taking a Quantum and you're putting it on steroids when you go to the Intek style. Fantastic engine. But anyway, what we're gonna do next on the DR trimmer, I'm gonna show you this is an issue called a compression release on this engine. Basically what it's gonna do during the compression stroke, while the engine is for slow turning as far as pull starting or an electric start or whatever, when it's turning slow, what it's going to do is it's going to hold the exhaust valve open just a tad in order for the engine to start. Then when the engine starts, the centrifugal force will actually close the compression release and it'll run on full compression and the engine can keep up with it, no issue. But anyway, we're going to get into that shortly. I'm going to show you exactly what's involved with that. So give me a minute here. Alright, and we're back. I hope my little explanation of the compression release system makes sense to you. I realize it probably wouldn't if you didn't know the system. I'm going to try and break it down a little bit for you. Anyway, there's two possible causes here. For one, the valves may be out of adjustment. If that exhaust valve is not opening enough in order to release the compression, that will cause the issue. And another issue is if the compression release mechanism is broken from the camshaft, that will also cause it. Issue one being the valves, that's a cheap, easy, just a few minute fix. Option two, a bad camshaft, starts getting expensive. The last time I checked, that camshaft's about $50 part. But either way, we're gonna fix it. But but for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this valve cover off, and then I will bring you in for a close-up and I'll kind of give you an explanation of what's going on in there. So just give me a second here. We'll get that part done. I'm gonna go ahead and lay a rag over the thing because we're gonna leak some oil out of there. This is gonna have four 3/8 bolts that hold it in place. Go ahead and get them out. Not even using the impact today. Yeah, funny story while we're at it. That's the Intek that I showed on the stand earlier. That's one of the ones, I actually own 7 of these engines now. And I don't need 7 of them, don't get me wrong. That's more than enough to probably last the rest of my life without a doubt. But like I always said, if a truck pulled up right now with another 20 of them, I'd buy every one of them. That's how much I love these engines. But anyway, that one that I showed you, that actually came from the scrapyard. It was on a spring day. It was just starting to warm up a little bit. Kind of slow day at work, so I left a little early. Went to the scrapyard and actually found that engine. And luckily I was able to get it. Later on, I ended up getting written up for leaving early that day. And I got a laugh out of it because I'm like, okay, well I saved the Intek engine, so whatever. But kind of a poor attitude, I know, but you know how it is. Alright, so now we got this valve cover off. I'm going to go ahead and bring you in here and kind of give you an idea of what's going on. And hopefully we can cure this one. Alright. So, this and this, these are your rocker arms. Kind of hard to see, but right here and down here, these are called push rods. These come from the camshaft to the rocker arms, and this is what opens and closes your valves. You notice if you, but I'll make it a little clearer as the engine does different you can see where they move up and down in sequence. So what we have to do, we have to get the load off of them. That's not that. Right there should be about it. Yeah, there we go. You're gonna notice both rocker arms are a little bit loose right now. That's because we have no load on the actual arm. And this is where you wanna test your valve settings. Now, if these are too loose, what happens is this isn't allowing, if it's too loose, it's not gonna open that exhaust valve up in order for it to release the compression. So I'm gonna grab some feeler gauges and we're gonna start taking a look at that next. We'll go from there with it. All right, so now it's time to adjust these valves up a little bit. I just want to point out to you this bigger nut here. This is called your adjuster nut. And if you look in the very center of it, you're going to see a little black piece there. It's called your lock nut. Both of them have it. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to loosen up your adjuster nut, and then that will disengage the lock nut. And then we're going to go ahead and set the valves to spec. And then you just hold this nut and then they crank your lock nut tight. Anyway, on this particular engine, they are calling for 4 to 6 thousandths as far as valve clearance. And you're gonna do that with a feeler gauge. It's kind of hard to see. This is 4 thousandths right here. I'm gonna set these ones tight because this engine is a little bit older. And what you want to do, that's gonna go as such. You're gonna go ahead and go into your in between the valve stem and the rocker arm. Now, if you notice, this is a very flimsy piece of metal. This is 4 thousandths of an inch thick. You wouldn't think that something that minute would make a big difference, but it really, really does. So, I'm gonna try and set you down over here so you can actually see what's going on as I do it. Hopefully that'll be pretty close. As I said, this is extremely loose right here. So you want to go ahead and, so you're gonna crank your nut loose and that will disengage the lock nut. So you want to undo that a little bit. This is a 1/4 inch Allen wrench, by the way. This wrench is 5/8. You could use a 16 millimeter, which is actually a tighter fit. I just don't have one on hand at the moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the 5/8, but you're gonna tighten that down a little bit. You wanna get it, you know, tight, but not, something like so. It's gonna slide in and out, but it's not gonna be overly tight. And then you're gonna go ahead and have your wrench on a nut, put your Allen wrench in the thing, and lock down your keeper a little bit. Alright. There we go. Yeah, that would, it's a little bit on the tight side, but also this engine is also, what is it, 2006. Everything's gonna be worn a little bit. These things get worn from age, obviously. I mean, these rockers are banging back and forth the whole time while the engine's running. So you wanna, so I don't mind a little bit tight on them. Go ahead and go like so. Give me a second here. There we go. Let's see what that. It's still a little bit loose. Still loose. There we go. Alright, that would work for that. And like I said, you just hold it with your wrench. And line the, there we go. There we go. Alright. So now we got both valves set to spec. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the spark plug back in real quick, and we're gonna give her a tug and see what, see if we made any progress or not. All right, is that. We'll leave the valve cover off for this test. Go ahead and put you back on a stand. You can actually see what's going on. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this thing over. I'm gonna see if it's got as much compression as it did. Hopefully not. There we go. That's what I'm talking about right there. All right. For now, this problem is cured, but this could come back later. As I said, this is a 2006 engine, hours unknown. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and put the valve cover back on, and I'm not gonna rebuild the carburetor, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the jet out of the carburetor bowl, and we're gonna clean that real quick and put some gas in this thing and see if she'll start. So give me a few minutes, I'm gonna do that, and I'll meet you in the driveway. All right, so we're out in the driveway with this thing. I went ahead and got the valve cover back on it, spark plugs back in, you know, everything's torqued down. I realized there's a couple items I did not show in the original videos of this, and something I just wanted to point out real quick. It really doesn't make a big difference, but to me it does. Everybody seems to probably know how I feel about Intek engines. As I'd said, I own 7 of these engines now. This one has a feature that none of the other 6 does. And you're gonna notice right here, we got an oil filter. That makes this engine what's called a pressure lubed engine. It actually, just like your car, it has an actual oil pump in it. And what that feature does is basically you could tip this engine, you know, fairly up on its side quite a bit, and it's not going to actually lose oil pressure as far as, you know, any of the components inside of it getting the oil. It technically doesn't matter a whole lot on something like this, but the cool factor to it is just, I mean, think about it. You know, going on a Franken mower, a push mower with a oil filter on it, it's pretty cool, I think, anyway. um, the only other issue with this is where you notice it sticks off the side of the block and whatnot. This is actually going to limit what mower you can put this thing on, as that's going to be a clearance issue. I had mentioned the four-wheel drive Snapper. I also got a four-wheel drive Husqvarna out there. I don't know whether this engine will fit onto those decks with that oil filter issue, but we'll find out. But either way, it will be going on something, and you know, it'll be one of a kind. Another thing I wanted to point out. So, use your spark plug wire. You notice you got this little wire dangling off the side of it. If you look close, right here, you're gonna see that wire is actually looped around several times. Now, I looked at this engine real close when I first got this unit, and I had actually thought maybe the kill switch was bad. Maybe that was like a thing where you pull the plug wire off in order to kill the ignition to the engine. I was wrong, and I'll show you exactly what that thing goes to. That's actually an aftermarket hour meter, which is right here. That's how those things are designed to work. They go from the pulse of the spark plug wire, and they're going to give you the hours on the engine. So that's kind of a neat feature. Another thing, this unit originally is an electric start and pull start both, but right now the battery's dead or whatever. I don't know any of the condition of the starter or whatnot, so it's going to be pull start only. But anyway, all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put you back on a stand. This thing does have a primer. It looks as if possibly the primer plate's been taken off the engine before. I don't know for a fact. So I'm going to prime it a few times to try and start it. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot of carburetor cleaner, and we're going to hear this thing fire off. This unit, I know for a fact it's going to smoke a little bit just because of the way I had it. When I had to load it in my car, the cylinder was pointing down. So I had no choice. It was either that or don't take it. I mean, and we don't leave any Inteks behind, so I got it out of there either way. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and set you back on a stand, and we're going to see if this thing is going to fire off for us. Alright, that should do it. So, like I said, first off, I'm going to hit the primer a few times, and we're going to see if it'll run. Alright, so get that like so. As I said, I've never tested this engine before, so go ahead and see if she'll do anything at all. Well, that was kind of promising. I knew it was going to smoke some, but yeah, we're not going to get anything perfect out of it on the first try, that's for sure. sorry, it's a little smoky in here, but there you have it. As I said, I knew it was gonna smoke just because of the circumstances. We have this one wheel here has been tweaked. I don't know why. Obviously, I can straighten it. Another issue is that it will push forward, no problem whatsoever, but you gotta pull it back and the wheels are trying to lock up. So I don't know what's going on with that. But I'm gonna say we got some Ultimate Franken mower material right here. That's a good running engine. Considering that, you know, that was just a jet clean, that wasn't a full carburetor clean and everything. I want to give a very special thank you to my friend David. You know, he's the one that donated this thing to me. As soon as I saw the Intek, you know, obviously I was going to get it anyway, but, you know, I had actually even mentioned to him, I said, hey, I'll put another engine on it and flip it. We'll go ahead, you know, we can both make some money. He goes, no, that's for you. He goes, you just go ahead and do whatever you got to do with it. So, very special thank you, David. I really appreciate that. You know, this things like this is what keeps this going. Now, as far as the rest of this project goes, as I said, I'm going to be throwing a quantum on this thing. I can flip it really cheap that way. Somebody will have something they can play with, and we'll make a little bit of money off it. If you want to see the footage of me putting together a quantum to go on this, give me a comment. Come on. People, I really need the likes on these videos. You know, I'm seeing I got, you know, 40 views and 3 likes. And I realize it's just the way it is, but the algorithm on YouTube, you know, these videos are not going to be seen if I'm not getting the you know, the likes, the comments, and all that stuff. So yeah, go ahead and give it. I don't even care if it's negative. Go ahead and, you know, give it to me. And as far as that goes, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you have a great day, and be watching out for more. I got plenty more coming.